Hey guys, the Desi Project is a local nonprofit organization made by 4 students from Jesuit High School, and we are focused on empowering South Asian teenagers in America. Today, we are here to discuss the theme of recognizing and resisting injustice, both in history and in modern society. We hope you enjoy learning a little bit about our organization and how you can contribute to social justice in your community.
Hello, my name is Shreya Kaushik and I'm one of the founders of the Desi Project. 3 other juniors and I created the Desi Project to empower South Asian teenagers in America by helping them become more confident with their culture and providing them with a platform to share their stories and culture with the community. So we decided to create this platform because out of the 5.4 million South Asians in America, many of them feel misrepresented and are affected by harmful stereotypes, and that causes South Asian teenagers to feel uncomfortable with their culture. So to figure out whether or not this was an actual issue, we decided to interview local South Asian teenagers, some that even go to Jesuit High School. We interviewed 50 of them, and about 90% of them said that this was a real problem that they faced every day. And they said that they wanted something to fix it, and they said that they wanted a safe place where both positive and negative experiences of being a South Asian teenager in America can be shared. And they also wanted like a place where they could share Desi culture with others, and they wanted the society to understand how harmful South Asian stereotypes can be. So we decided to create the Desi Project, and one main part of our mission is to help South Asian teenagers become more involved in the community and help the underprivileged and marginalized in our society. So we decided to do this in 4 main ways. First, we have an online platform and blog on our website, which should be linked below. And that is a place where South Asians and non-South Asians can comment, share their experiences. And the goal is to learn more about South Asian culture, but we're welcome to having all stereotypes and all misrepresentation experiences being posted on there as well. The second thing that we aim to do is have online discussions between South Asians in the community and non-South Asians so that South Asians can spread culture and we can create a safe community to again share experiences in a more virtual context because we are in a pandemic. And the third one is we wanted to create YouTube videos to inform the community about misrepresentation and harmful stereotypes. Some of the videos you can check out on our Instagram and YouTube are videos about empowerment and colorism, and we're currently working on a video about misrepresentation in media as well. And finally, we hope to, after COVID-19 is over, to have community events where people, both non-South Asian and South Asian, can meet, donate, learn about South Asian culture, see dance, music, and we are actually working on trying to do this in more of a virtual platform, but our goal is pretty much to make sure that people get really involved in South Asian culture and learn about how exciting it is to be South Asian and how you can contribute even if you're not South Asian.
Hi, I'm Nisa Gohil, and I'm one of the founders of the Desi Project. So what exactly does the word Desi mean? Desi is a common term which is used in reference to the South Asian community or people of South Asian descent. Specifically, Desis are people from these South Asian countries: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, the Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka.
Hey guys, my name is Rishabh Sharma. I'm one of the co-founders of the Desi Project and also a junior this year at Jesuit. In your world history class, this unit's theme is recognizing and resisting injustice. To start, we will be recognizing injustice by exploring a prominent example of oppression in South Asian history, the British colonization of India, which now consists of most of present-day South Asia. The British Raj, known as the British rule over India from 1858 to 1947, started earlier when the British East India Company came to trade with the Indians. However, this British trade soon became a direct British colonization over India. This rule was filled with oppression, as the East India Company was responsible for putting an end to India's previous industries and forcing people into agriculture. The British were responsible for famines which starved the Indians while the British were living lavishly. The Britishers ate the Indian goods, such as bread, and shipped them back to England, while letting millions of Indians starve and leading to tens of millions of deaths over the years. Not only were South Asians oppressed through this horrific treatment, but much of this oppression is left out of history textbooks and curriculums. For example, Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Great Britain during World War II, is studied and revered as a hero who led England against the Nazis and helped secure a victory for the Allied forces. However, what is not often taught is that Churchill viewed the Indians that Britain was trying to colonize as savage and inferior creatures. He has been quoted saying, "I hate Indians. They are a beastly people with a beastly religion." This is just one example out of many how the oppression and injustices against several cultures and groups of people throughout history has been buried away. Thus, many people aren't even aware that such injustice has even occurred, so they are unable to recognize it. To ensure that this doesn't happen, we want to share with you some of the microaggressions and harmful stereotypes that South Asian teenagers face on a day-to-day basis here in America. We asked several Desi teenagers this question.
What does it mean to be a South Asian teenager in America?
To me, being a South Asian in America means having a pre-planned out excuse for every time I don't fit the stereotypical image of a South Asian American teen.
Be a South Asian, it really means a lot to me since there's so many of us and we've built a family to fight against the wrongful discrimination.
As an African American born to refugee parents from Afghanistan, my experience within the South Asian identity was heavily influenced by the political atmosphere in the country during my youth.
I faced discriminations, whether it was for the ethnic food I brought to school or the cultural clothing I wore. From non-Indians, I would turn to my South Asian community for support.
Being an Indian American can definitely be difficult sometimes. It often feels like I'm living in two different worlds. Like at home, it's more traditional, and then outside, it's more of a Western culture. And because of societal pressures, it sometimes feels like you have to live up to certain standards.
I remember a lot of times in my life, in the community I was in at the time, people would choose to make very hurtful statements or derogatory comments about aspects of me being Indian.
As an Indian young woman in this country, I have definitely experienced a series of microaggressions that are 100% not okay.
I would feel so uncomfortable walking around in my Indian clothes because I was worried about everyone judging me instead of me taking the time to celebrate where I come from and my heritage.
Being a South Asian teen in the American schooling system means being stereotyped as the smartest kid in the math class.
It can sometimes be hard to be proud of what I look like, my culture in general.
There's so many preconceived notions and simply just high expectations put on us.
I remember in elementary school, I would bring my food for lunch, like my Indian food that my mom cooked, and I wouldn't want to eat it at school because I was so embarrassed.
It can be hard to balance the expectations that are constantly being forced upon us, and I definitely feel that it's necessary for us to acknowledge the issues that are prevalent in our community today.
And we have to deal with stereotypes that have been made about our people, and especially for teenagers, it's really hard to deal with. It degrades us to the point where we start to suppress our own culture and we start to become ashamed and embarrassed by the culture that we've been brought up with.
Being a South Asian is honestly such a blessing, and although my younger self would have said differently or said the opposite because sometimes I would be made fun of, my friends would be made fun of, my recent life experiences have actually taught me differently.
So yeah, basically I grew up in like a pretty like white town. You know, there's not too many brown kids in my town. Like throughout high school and middle school, you know, I got some racist jokes to me, like Osama Bahavan, oh terrorist, oh Baljit, all that stuff. But like honestly, like I feel like it made me stronger.
Now that you've heard from several Desi teenagers,
hopefully you've gained some insight into the experiences faced by South Asian teenagers.
We would like you to join us on our journey towards empowering South Asians.
We hope that all South Asians can be proud of their culture.
And I'm very proud to be a Desi.
I want to be proud to be Desi.
I am proud to be Desi.
I'm proud to be Desi.
I'm still proud to be Desi.
I'm proud to be Desi.
I'm proud to be Desi.
I am proud to be Desi.
I'm proud to be Desi.
I'm proud to be a Desi.
I am proud to be Desi.
I am proud to be Desi.
Now that you guys have understood a little bit about harmful stereotypes and microaggressions against South Asian teenagers and have been able to recognize injustice, you have the opportunity to fight it and resist it. Again, we look to the British colonization of India, where there's one prime example of resisting injustice, and that is Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi changed the way people protest by advocating for peaceful resistance. With his peaceful resilience, such as through the famous Salt March in 1930, Gandhi resisted the oppression and injustices from the British and was eventually able to help India gain its independence in 1947. Today, we should follow the example of Gandhi and fight injustices in our society peacefully. Now let's discuss another injustice that is very prominent in society today: colorism.
Hey guys, my name is Devi Dada and I'm one of the founders here at the Desi Project and also a junior here at Jesuit. Now that you guys have some knowledge about what we do here at the Desi Project and what colorism is, let's talk about colorism in South Asian and American history. With roots in both European colonialism and the ancient South Asian caste system, colorism is a form of discrimination that treats people of lighter skin as superior over those that are darker within the same race, and this has existed in South Asian subcontinent for more than 2,000 years. The history of colorism can be traced back to the ideology of the South Asian caste system, which is basically an occupational division of people, which still exists today in the South Asian community. Although the origins of the caste system are unclear to historians, it is thought to have first been used as early as 1500 BC. People in lower castes were those who worked in manual labor, which primarily involved being outside under the sun, ultimately creating the connection between darker skin and the lower class. The top of the caste system were light-skinned people with military and intellectual power. This perception was later reinforced by European colonialism. This divide among the South Asian community about the skin color of individuals, which is based on the caste system, ultimately unraveled into becoming inherent racism within the South Asian community. Colorism is not just found in South Asian history, but also can be found in American history. For instance, during the period of time when slavery contributed to a large part of American culture, colorism was evolving. Enslavers typically had a bias towards enslaved people with fair complexions. As dark-skinned slaves worked outdoors in their fields, their light-skinned counterparts usually worked out indoors at far less grueling domestic tasks. Slave owners had a bias towards light-skinned slaves because they often were family members. Slave owners frequently forced enslaved women into sexual intercourse, and the light-skinned children that came from these relationships were signs of those sexual assaults. While slave owners didn't officially recognize their mixed children, they gave them privileges that dark-skinned slaves didn't get to enjoy. Consequently, having light skin came to be viewed as an asset in the community of enslaved people. These examples of colorism in our history have continued on and have become a prominent part in various communities in our world. We ask you to think more deeply about this problem and how you can make a difference in your community.
Now that you have an example of colorism, we want to share a video we created about it so you can learn more about the issue as well as how to address it in society, because it is a really prominent issue that affects many communities, including the South Asian one.
Currently, colorism is a prominent issue in society that is not discussed as much as it should be. Colorism is the discrimination of people of the same race based on the shade of their skin color. For example, you've probably heard or used the common terms light skin and dark skin when describing people of color, and these can lead to negative stereotypes and harmful internalizations. Colorism is inherent within most populations, including those in the South Asian community. To illustrate, a popular South Asian makeup brand, Fair and Lovely, promotes lightening one's skin color to make one more attractive. This discrimination is just one example of colorism that causes South Asians to feel embarrassed and unwanted because of their darker skin color. Although colorism can be overtly expressed, it can also be covert and implicit, meaning most people aren't aware of their bias. For instance, nonchalant comments and jests in South Asian households can cause those with darker skin tones to feel discriminated against in their own homes. But this must change. We understand that colorism exists not only in the South Asian community, but in many other colored communities as well. The roots of colorism are in our own homes, and we have the chance to change this in our families and relationships. In this current climate of social unrest, we urge you to take the initiative to address colorism in your community, to eliminate stereotypes, and bring us closer to social justice.
We want you to take the opportunity to reflect on the theme, recognizing and resisting injustice, by thinking about this question. How have you faced or observed misrepresentation or injustice in your community, and what can you do to address the injustice in the future? So to do this, we welcome you to write a 1 to 2 page reflection answering the question and share your reflections on our blog. And you can access our blog on our website, thedesiprojectpdx.org, and also view sample blog posts on there as well. So to learn more about us and our mission, you can follow us at the Desi Project PDX on Instagram, and we hope that you can reflect on your own encounters with misrepresentation, and we want to thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about South Asian misrepresentation. Thank you.